same person asked multiple questions, so we're breaking it up. All right. Next question is.
I mean, I know this, but like, how many animals? What kind of animals you showed? How many they were, and how that experience was, and like all projects that you did during 4-H.
All right. So, animals. So you asked about the animals and projects I was involved in and how many animals I showed. This person that messaged, obviously, I know who they are, so they kind of did know at least part of the answer to those questions. That question in particular. All 10 years, I only showed one animal, and that was pigs. I showed pigs all 10 years, a variety of amount and breeds. Most people don't know a whole lot about pigs, but there are different breeds, just like there are different dog breeds. Um, so that's kind of how they break them up into different categories if you don't know, and go from there. I'm trying to think. I had a few years where I showed six. Other years I only showed two or three. It just kind of depended on how things were with me and my sister on both of our projects. So that's the main project I did. Another project I did, I don't even know if I made it all 10 years, was baking. I did baking every year, I'm pretty sure. So baking was pretty self-explanatory. Most of the project that you want to do at home, if there's any activities as a kid, and you get booklets and you get to do different baking activities and learning opportunities. I could have been in a club for it. I was not involved in the club, but I did that. So every year it just kind of depended. They changed what you had to bake or cook as you progress through 4-H. So my last couple years was pies, but like to begin with, it was like cookies, bread, rolls, biscuits, stuff like that. Um, which was a fairly simple project, kind of fun. Last minute stress to bake it all before fair and make sure it was still good, and would last and tasted good. But one year, I'm trying to think how old I was. I was actually able to win grand champion at my county fair with my rolls. So my rolls actually ended up getting picked to go to state fair. So also at the end of like certain projects, especially baking, they do an auction. They auction off your food to whoever wants to buy it. Most of the time, it is a family member of some sort, or companies or people you know that basically bet on your food. And depending on how well you are or how long you've been in 4-H, or basically, sadly, who you know, the more money you get. So basically, they auction it off, and then you get that money clear, free and clear is yours as a 4-Her. So that year, I think for 7 rolls, I got $800. So pretty good return on investment there. But I did end up going to state fair with it. I didn't do anything particular down there. So the state fair is a whole different ball game, which I will probably get into some 4-H stories down there here later. But okay, I got other projects. Wait, I'm not done. I did photography for 3-4 years. I don't think I did anything crazy with that. I was a very average, basic photographer. I feel like I had good ideas, but it was very basic on the ideas I had and what I could do. Um, People definitely were a lot more creative than I was, so I tried it out and did it for a couple years. But there's people that were way better at that in particular. But I did that, and I was involved in two main clubs as well. I did livestock club, which just kind of, if you show any livestock, you're just kind of automatically enrolled in that one. So being showing pigs and everything, a pig showman, um, livestock club I was involved in. So that was typically a monthly thing. Sometimes they'd have speakers in. You do activities with a bunch of other kids in 4-H that are in the club, and just kind of try to learn something new. Just depends. But another big one that I was a part of was junior leaders. So I feel like that one was probably one of the larger influences I had, which was pretty cool. Junior leaders is kind of like, I mean, you can kind of tell by the name. It's a club you can enroll in from seventh grade until you graduate. And so there you're kind of more involved with the community, doing stuff at the fair, volunteering, and doing different activities to just kind of help your community. Some of my favorite experiences with that club in particular um, is that we would be able to go every Christmas and go shopping for some family. So we'd get a family. I can't remember even how we got the names, but we basically get a list of stuff that this family needed for kids, parents, whatever. And then we had a budget to go spend on Christmas gifts for those families. So we'd go to Walmart or wherever else, and we just go through and get anything we needed. So I was always I always had a lot of fun with that. I loved it. I would try going all out trying to pick the gifts for the children or whoever else. I would make sure we got as much as possible with the amount of money we were able to spend, because I wanted these kids to have an amazing Christmas as best as I could. So that was definitely probably one of my favorites. One of my favorite experiences with junior leaders in general. Doing that every winter was amazing. Just trying to help out some local family that wasn't able to buy gifts for their children that year. But that one was always so much fun. I've got kicked out of Walmart shopping carts and this and that, and it was always a blast to go around with friends and just like get in a group and be like, okay, we got a 4-year-old boy that needs a jacket. He loves Transformers and Star Wars. He needs gloves and a hat. The rest is up to you, kind of thing. And then it'd be like, okay, like here's his sizes. So we get the essentials, and then after we got the main essentials for what the kid needed, we basically, at least in my groups or whenever I was in groups, was how can we spoil this child and let him just have a great time. So we'd do that. We'd buy all these gifts, and then we'd go back to our 4-H building, and then we'd go and we'd all wrap all the gifts for the family, eat pizza, and hang out, and then we would do that, and they would be sent off for Christmas for those families. I know that's one thing we did as a club. We also did, I remember we did a group scavenger hunt through the town at one point. That was fun, with riddles and whatever else to figure out, and had to do that. I think my group won. It was very competitive. And then we've also did food drives and stuff, and I helped out with that for years, which was always a good time, just helping volunteer with that, carrying stuff, helping people get stuff to their cars, supplying people with meals around Christmas. So that was always a great time. But I think when it comes to projects, that's all I really did. I was, compared to a lot of people, I was very niche on the projects I was involved in. I loved 4-H, but not necessarily from the projects, because there's a lot to choose from. I never ventured out. I definitely probably could have looked through a list and found something I would be interested in that wasn't livestock, but I just never really tried. I enjoyed the group activities, the meetings, the different experiences, all of that, and with the fair itself, more than the projects. So I couldn't necessarily be bothered to do a bunch and fill up my summer just doing 4-H projects. I enjoyed going to different 4-H events and doing stuff, which I'll talk about that in a minute. But I do know someone in my county that did the exact opposite. I know someone that did like 60 projects every year, and that was basically all she did. And she went ridiculous.